Welcome to Brockton Community Access's coverage of election 2015, the 9th Plymouth District State Representative debate. I have here with me, my name is Mark Lindy, and I have here with me Kevin Tocci from WATD. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being a partner, as usual. We do this on a regular basis. Tonight, we are having a debate for state representative for the election to be held, the primary election, the Democratic primary, on Tuesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. And the big question out there is whether the voters are going to come out and see their shadow. Only kidding. We have 3 candidates for state representative, and we are going to start with opening statements. Each candidate has up to 2 minutes to do an opening statement. They can use the whole 2 or use 1.5 or 1, whatever works for them. We did a drawing earlier, and the number 1 pick for the drawing was Shana Marie Barnes. So we're going to go right to Shana with her opening statement. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for having us. Thank you to the floor staff, the studio staff, and thank you for watching at home and being in tune to this very important election scheduled for February 2nd. My name is Shana Barnes. I'm currently your City Councilor at Large, one of 4 City Councilors at Large here in the City of Brockton. And I am here before you today to humbly ask for your vote. The residents of Brockton citywide have had confidence in me 2 times, once to elect me and once to re-elect me. And I just ask that you have that confidence in me again to lead Brockton and the 9th Plymouth District, particularly in the State House, and to work with our current delegation of Representatives Dubois and Cronin and State Senator Michael Brady, and making sure that Brockton gets its fair share and that we go and we advocate and we are a partner together with the other 350 cities and towns in Massachusetts to making sure that Brockton gets what's rightfully theirs, opening up new doors, finding new resources, developing new relationships that can only be to the betterment of the people of Brockton. So again, my name is Shana Barnes, and I ask that you vote for me February 2nd. I will be before you again in closing statements, but I just urge you to please just listen to all of us and to then make your decision on February 2nd. Hopefully that will be me, Shana Barnes, for State Representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Shana. Next up, we have Ward 7 City Councilor and candidate for state representative, Shirley Asack. Shirley.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mark and Kevin. I would like to thank BCA for hosting this forum this evening and for the Brockton families for tuning in tonight. This election is not about us. I apologize. This election is not about me. It is about the hardworking families of this district, the families who I supported by voting no for the last property tax increase, the families who want their children to attend our downtown college collaborative, the families who have a member addicted to drugs seeking treatment over prison, the families who believe in Brockton, who love our city and have started a small business like I have and will remain for their children's future here in the city of Brockton. It's about early child care centers so families can work full-time jobs, adding even more to our tax base. I'm Shirley Asack. As hard as I have been working for you on the City Council, I will continue to work for you at the State House. There's no special interest, just your interests. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. Next up is Jerry Cassidy.
Welcome, Mark
Jerry.
and Kevin. Thank you very much. My name is Jerry Cassidy. I live on Woodard Ave with my wife and 2 children. I'm running for this office because I believe I'm the most qualified candidate. You know, I'll be the most, bring a lot of powerful assets back to the city of Brockton. I was a former city councilor here a few years ago in Ward 3. I worked with State Senator Tom Kennedy for the last 28 years, who was a dear and close friend of mine. I believe that with my working relationships at the State House, I can work with local government to bring the funding and grant money back to Brockton. Also, the downtown. The number 1 issue right now is crime. We need to solve a lot of our issues with the crime. Moving the DA's office over to right across from the courthouse, that would bring presence of the state police downtown Brockton, which would solve a lot of our problems in the business community. My name is Jerry Cassidy, and hopefully you vote for me on February 2nd.
Thank you to all 3 candidates. If we keep it this way, we'll get right through the 60 minutes with no problems. We're going to go right to the questions. I did want to point out to the voters, though, that this election is the core of the city of Brockton. It is all 4 precincts in Ward 2. It's 3 of the precincts in Ward 3. It's 2 of the precincts in Ward 4, 1 in 5, and 2 in 7. So 12 precincts out of 28 in the city of Champions. We'll start out with the first question, and we will have Kevin Tocci do the first question. And number 1 order would be Jerry Cassidy. We'll do 2 for Shayna and 3 for Shirley for that question.
We'll start. So we're starting with Jerry. I want to ask, kind of going back to when you were a ward councilor and some of the things that you did when you were with State Senator Tom Kennedy. What issues or problems can you say that you led an effort to find a resolution? And please be specific, if you could.
Probably the number one issue was the Rock Stadium. I was the ward councilor at that time. They did not want to build, we didn't want to build that in the neighborhood. Speaking to a number of the residents in the area, working with former Mayor Jack Units, we got the funding for the Rocks Stadium to be built. It actually is a very good image situation for the city now when you go outside of Brockton. Oh yeah, I know where the Rock Stadium is, Shaw Stadium. So that was probably my number one.
You would say you led the effort as far as with that?
I was the city councilor at that time, yes.
Okay.
Okay, next would be the same question for Shayna.
Same with you, Shayna. Talk to us as far as being an at-large councilor. An issue or problem that during your one term, going into your second term, that you've led the fight or conversation with. Be specific.
Sure. Well, recently, at the close of the last legislative session, I made my colleagues aware of a program that I will be presenting more formally in this legislative session, which is called the Star Chase program. And that is a pursuit management technology program that comes out of West Virginia that will directly address a lot of the public safety issues that we have and quality of life issues that we have here in the city. Recently, there have been some chases, police chases in the city. And actually, when I was out knocking on doors, a woman recognized that I was the one that promoted that or presented that particular program, and she said that her children were actually in the yard of a house where a chase ended. The car went right into the yard and almost into the house, and the kids were outside playing. And the Star Chase pursuit management technology, what it does is it shoots out kind of like a homing beacon onto a car that the police are either in pursuit of or they feel that they'll probably be in pursuit of, that's suspected of a crime. And instead of chasing them through the city, going up and down Oak Street and Montello Street and throughout our neighborhoods, 90 and 100 miles an hour, what they can do is they send out the signal to the entire department and to different law enforcement agencies across the city and outside of the city so that we don't have to chase them. They can go and they can get them at another time. So that is something that I proposed myself, and I'm working with the procurement office, with the city solicitor's office, with the company, with the mayor's office, and also with the chief of police to make sure that we employ that here in the city.
How about something that you led that there's been a resolution during your first term, that's something that's kind of ongoing right now, but something that you worked on during your last term that there was a resolution to the problem?
Well, that's the thing. When I came in, there were a lot of things that were already kind of starting. So there was nothing really, for the most part, to have led. And to be honest, I took my first term to learn, and to learn how the council works, to learn what I can do, learn what I can propose. Now that I've done that, I'm taking more of a leadership role at this particular point. There's definitely kind of the learning curve, I guess, coming into the council. Okay. But a lot of the measures that were going on, they were going on before I got there. But I made sure that if they were good for Brockton, that I made sure that I voted for them for the betterment of the community. And if they weren't, I voted against it. Okay.
Same question to you, Shirley. And again, an issue or problem that you helped lead, you were part of the resolution.
Well, first off, as soon as I got on to the city council a few years ago, I hit the ground running. It was from day one. I was dealing with constituent issues, and I have to say that's 90% of the job is really dealing with constituents. So I tried to be accessible and transparent and really help guide the constituents. And one thing that I'm really proud of, because I took it from step A to Z, is I had a group of constituents up in my ward that were having really issues with quality of life issues with a certain large vehicle that was in there in the neighborhood, and it was causing a lot of issues. Public safety, like I said, quality of life. I walked them through everything. We went before traffic. We took it to the mayor's office, right down to actually creating an ordinance that would the ordinance that would protect them and from this large vehicle from being in the neighborhood. So, I mean, that's one thing I'm very proud of, but there are many that have happened in the past few years and some continue, but that, I'm proud of it because I took it from A to Z and really took the time with the constituents to resolve their problem.
Okay. I'll do the next question. One of the candidates just brought it up in opening statement, but it's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit, dealing with legislators and elected officials. Does Brockton get its fair share? And what would you specifically do if elected, if you don't think it does, to change that, and if you do think it is, to enhance it? I'm going to start with Shirley.
Great, thank you. And that's a great question, Mark, because Brockton does not get its fair share. And if I'm successful as state representative, I will be advocating from day one, whether it's for our public schools, whether it's for public safety. We're a very large city, and we're often forgotten that we're such a large city. So I will be advocating from day one to get what is due to Brockton, to bring in more funding.
So you don't think it gets its fair share and
No.
and advocate from day one, okay?
Yes.
I'm going to go to Jerry for the same question.
Sure. It doesn't now that Senator Kennedy's gone, because I was in the room the day the conference committee was going on about the courthouse, and it was 3 people on one side, 3 on the Senate side, and Tom was part of that. And I was in the room, and that's how we got that courthouse, because of the late Senator Tom Kennedy. And it was wonderful to see that he was fighting for Brockton. I can do the same thing. I could, right now it's $8 million for transportation. There's $1 million that goes to kids who have to be moved outside of Brockton, busing. So we have to, I would advocate for $1 million to, have that money back in city coffers.
Okay, thank you. And same question for Shana. Fair share, no fair share, and what would you do to make sure we get it?
Yeah, no, I brought that up in my opening statement. I recognize the need to get what we're supposed to be getting. We've been cut, our funding has been cut drastically over the last few years, millions and millions of dollars that we definitely, desperately need. And actually, I've already been working with the legislators in the State House, had a meeting just last week with Speaker DeLeo about some of the financial issues and some of the funding that I would propose, if so lucky to be in the State House and working with our current delegation and advocating for those monies that have been taken out in the past. I've also been in communication with several staff members from the Lieutenant Governor's office about a particular pool of money that was identified to come to Brockton for a particular program that we're working on. I'm working with some community leaders on that right now, and we're looking to rejuvenate that effort to get that pool of money back here, or actually here. It's brand new money, so that's something that I'm currently doing now. Again, too, working with several of the members of the Black and Latino caucus. They also have resources and networks that we've never tapped into before. And they're willing to open those up to us with the Urban League as well, providing job readiness and skills training and having job fairs for our people to get back to work, to be able to pour back into our economy. That's what we need to do. That's how we can start jump-starting these things and igniting some of our funding issues. So these are things I'm doing right now, just last week. So.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Kevin.
How can you, as a state representative, as a part of the legislative delegation, be able to help the city and its leaders solve the homelessness crisis that it's currently seeing right now?
First up would be Shana.
Yeah, that's really a significant issue. And, in the last election, the mayoral election, it was made clear that Brockton is getting a disproportionate amount of the homelessness, the residents that are homeless. Some of them aren't even from here. They're, either relatives or friends. But because we have such an abundance of services, they come here to the city. And that's something that I would definitely work with the delegation and work with any of the committees in the State House to see what we can do to maybe have some of our neighbors share some of that, and maybe having some other programs start up in other places where we can maybe do some kind of cost sharing and some resource sharing. I would definitely work also with several of the churches and the community groups around that are trying to reach out to the particular camps where the people are staying, to get them in, to get them some job readiness skills and resources, to get them substance abuse training and substance abuse help and treatment. Those are the kinds of things that we need to do. We need to take a look at the core problems and then address them as such. And I've actually been on several of the homelessness task forces, the 10-year homelessness task force with John Yaswinski and Mainspring and Father Bill, and we've worked on that. And we started working on some of those things with a lot of the agencies, DMH, DCF, all of these agencies that we need to start to collaborate a little bit better with and making sure that we can all work toward the goal of eradicating the homelessness.
Okay, and next would be Shirley.
Thank you. Actually, this is a subject that's really become very close to my heart. I've been meeting with Pastor Roberto in a group of homeless people at the Universal Church. They meet every Friday, and this group is very passionate about getting the issue resolved. So I've been there kind of listening and observing, and they don't want to be homeless. They want to work together with the community, whether it's the elected officials, to take care of the issue with the homeless issue. So they have many ideas and projects, and I believe if I'm successful as state representative, I would be able to help them by working together with the other legislators, the surrounding, bringing in some of our neighboring towns, developing a group, and actually getting something done, because it's kind of been lingering. We're all talking about it. It's an issue that's been going on, but we need to find a resolution to it. We need to figure out what we can do to work together. What they're really looking for is they're looking for like a transitional day program that will help them with housing, job placement, and social services. So they're I believe by working together as a community, we can help them to develop this and help the homeless community kind of move forward.
Okay, and Jerry?
Thank you, Mark. There's, like Councilor Azak said, this has been a life-changing experience for me. Father Roberto across the street here, he's doing a yeoman's work. I would work with Shirley. If I win or lose, I would still continue to go to these meetings. I've made some very good friends, and like you said, they don't want to be homeless, and they're just looking for a chance to get back on the right road. Speaking to some of them, they're just looking for a day center, and I would advocate for something like that, even like an empty school in Brockton. If we could do something like that now, we need to do it right now, because it is going to start getting pretty cold out there, and they're awfully nice people, and we need to. With my relationships in the State House, I would ask the Chairman of Ways and Means to, give us a few dollars for the poor citizens of Brockton. Thank you.
Okay, next would be Shana.
I was first,
Oh,
wasn't
you
I?
were first, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. There we go. Okay, so I got all three of you on that one, correct? Okay, let me go to my question then, sorry. Gets to be numbers and dominoes after a while, and I'm only into the third question, so excuse me. My question is, during the campaign at different debates and websites and newspaper coverage and everything, connections and special interests have come up. During the city council race, some people saw that as a positive, some people saw it as a negative. How do you view it and why? Connections and special interests. I'll start with Jerry.
Connections. I have family, friends that are donating to the committee. Basically, I just have teachers, union employees, everybody, all walks of life that, neighbors, connections. I don't see anything like that at all.
Okay, what I mean, just to explain, is I know, Jerry, specifically, you've touted connections on Beacon Hill.
Oh, okay.
Special interests could be considered union endorsements. Some people see them as a negative, and some people see them as a positive, and I'm just looking for your take on it.
As far as the State House, you know, I would say that anything that you know, relationships I've had in the State House would be better for Brockton, as far as they would know me more so than some of the others, and that would, you know, in turn bring money back to Brockton. That's my take on it.
Okay, next would be Shayna.
Okay, you know, it's a double-edged sword. So I think it's a little from column A, little from column B. Definitely having networks. I wouldn't call it connections. I would say having networks and having working relationships with the other representatives and senators of the 350 other cities and towns in Massachusetts is extremely helpful. Because again, I'm learning now. I'm developing these relationships now and cultivating these relationships and learning how much we don't know as a city. We sometimes operate in a vacuum, and that's not good. We need to open ourselves up to other opportunities and other things that we could definitely draw on in the experience of some of the seasoned legislators and developing those relationships. So that's good. With regard to kind of special interest, that's a problem, because when you go to the State House and you have to vote on something, are you voting in the best interest of the people, or are you voting for, depending on kind of what your war chest says? So that makes me very nervous, actually. And I'm definitely a strong union person. I believe in strong union. I have advocated for the union when it came to me. But we have to also pay attention that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing for the people. And if you take a look at all of my endorsements, they're all legislators. They're all people, my future colleagues that I will be working with, that have shown that they have confidence in me and that they're ready to work with me in the State House. So we're developing these relationships to start to bring programs and money and resources back to the city of Brockton.
Okay, thank you. Same question for Shirley.
Okay, thank you. Endorsements are fine, but in this campaign, the endorsement that's the most important to me is the endorsement of the voters of the 9th Plymouth District. And relationships are fine, working relationships. I work very well with I know many of the existing state representatives. I work with our state delegation. I work well with them. With our existing city government, I work well with our mayor and my colleagues on the city council. And I look forward to actually continuing that and developing those relationships, but always keeping in mind who I represent, and that is the 9th Plymouth District, Brockton, and Massachusetts. So of course it's a working collaboration to work together with them, but if I'm successful, I don't have any special interest endorsements. The only endorsements are that of the community. All my volunteers are from the community right here from the city of Brockton. I've had an enormous amount of volunteers, so I find that really heartwarming. So I thank them, and those are the endorsements that I'm looking for.
Thank you all. Next question is Kevin, and the first person to direct it to would be Shirley Azak.
Brockton's still experiencing its problems with regular shootings and violent crimes. As a state rep, what can you do in this area to help the city, either with introduced legislation or funding?
I would like to, first of all, thank the Brockton Police, because the men and women on the Brockton Police Department work very hard with the resources that are available to them. But we do need to focus on the enforcement of the current gun laws. People entering this city with illegal arms need to know that if you come into Brockton with an illegal firearm, you will be arrested, jailed, and prosecuted. We need to really stress that, and we need to enforce the laws that are already on the books. So as a legislator, I would just make sure that the laws are enforced. I stress that. I can't stress that enough.
Is there anything that you can bring forth? Is there any particular laws that you feel that need updating or amendments?
Not at this point, but I just feel like we have to really stress the enforcement part of it.
Okay, next would be Jerry.
I met with the district attorney, and he would love to move his office downtown Brockton, right across from the courthouse, the old federal building, where the Middleborough barracks would move up here to Brockton, and they would have a police presence in that area. You'd have a lot more foot traffic, state police coming and going. That's his number one issue right now, is moving that. And I think I could have a very big impact with that, with the speaker and other members. moving that forward. That's my number one thing. Crime is the number one thing, and we have to, and Shannon grants also.
How about legislation? How about any laws or any amendments to any laws?
Just the gun laws. I would speak to the chairman on criminal justice, see what his top priorities are for Brockton. I would work with him, and we could see what we would do as far as gun control.
Okay, and next, Shane.
Actually, there was a piece of legislation that actually passed with the Trust Act, and that went out statewide, and that's something that we're looking to bring to the city of Brockton. And what that does, it develops a community and a law enforcement relationship. It helps to grow that and make it a little bit more of a working relationship, so it's not so adversarial sometimes in the street. When you hear, some of the stories from some of the people and their interaction with some police officers or in the department, sometimes it's not so good, and that's sometimes perception. So we need to break that up a little bit, and we need to make sure that everybody understands who the other person is. And I think that the Trust Act is something that the state is working toward, and I've actually communicated with the Black and Latino Caucus about that and the implications of that to the city of Brockton, particularly the minority-majority area of the 9th Plymouth District as it was cut. But with regard to the district attorney's office and the state police, we already have them here. They've been here since I worked for the DA's office 15 years ago. So the gang unit, they have that here, the CPAC unit, they're here. And also the district attorney, he's instituted quarterly meetings that I've attended. He's at a couple and I've attended them. And they have the DEA there, the ATF, the state police, I think ICE people go there too. Mm-hmm. But I call them alphabet men. They're all there, and they're all trying to kind of figure out and do a game plan and a map out how they can better integrate into Brockton to make our city a little bit safer. So
if I could ask, are you saying that there's a problem between agencies working together here in Brockton? Or are you just saying in general?
No, I didn't say there was a problem. I said that they are here already, and they're trying to make things just a little bit easier, how to work in the city and learning the fabric of the city. Because we're a changing and we're a moving organism, so everything has to move and change. So, and I think that's what the DA is doing, and that when he instituted these meetings and these quarterly meetings to have everybody, to have a chance for everybody to kind of talk and to get what they're feeling or what their perception is out, that's a way to do that. It's opening that up. So I support that.
How about legislation or any amendments to legislation?
Well, like I said, the Trust Act is one that I'm working on with the Black and Latino Caucus to bring here to Brockton, also with BIC and the ACLU to get that here. And, whatever gets proposed in the next session, there would have to be something I'd have to see.
Okay.
Any additional follow-up with that? For Shirley, you look like you wanted to say something more.
Yes, because Councilor Barnes kept mentioning the Trust Act, but we did try something similar to that here in Brockton. That was community policing, which does exist with the police walking our main street. There was a presence there, and it was implicated with Chief Hayden when he was here. So this is stuff that we're already doing. That maybe not to the fullest extent of the act, but it's already in existence here in the city. So as well as the.
Can I?
Yep, and then I want to give Jerry a thought too.
Actually, the actual Trust Act that was drafted as legislation, not just kind of like a gentleman's handshake, it has to do with actual arrests and being detained and some relationships and things with the community and the police. So that's something that we're working on drafting the language to make it fit for Brockton. It was passed in Boston. It was passed in, I think, Somerville, maybe Leominster, some of those other big cities and towns, but it was passed statewide in the legislature, and we're just looking to have our own. And again, like I said, I've been talking with BIC and ACLU and all those people. We're just putting the language together.
But is that something that's on the municipal level, not necessarily the state level? Because you said there's already a law in place for the state.
Yeah, no, but that's bringing it down here too, just so we can have our own.
As a resolve?
No, as an order. It'll come as an order. But like the other cities have done, they have their own, which mirrors kind of what the state as a whole drafted and passed. So yeah, that's what, just so that we can work collaboratively as a state and not kind of have our own thing or do our own thing. That's where we're going. That's the kind of trend that we're trying to reach here.
Jerry, do you want to weigh in on this?
No, just we all have to work together, that's all.
Okay, there we go. Okay, my next question, and I'll direct it first at Shayna, is what would you specifically do either differently or in concert with the current legislative delegation that exists to make sure we get a downtown college campus and a health sciences building which is important to the city.
Right, exactly. And again, what I've done actually already last week in speaking with the speaker and letting him know kind of what's been going on. And I actually support Councillor Sullivan's initiative to have the mayor come in and give us updates and reports on what's going on at the governor's office and where he is in his decision. He mentioned at one of the last Metro South breakfasts, that was the burning question, 400 people in the room, burning question. What's going on with this project? What's going on with the Allied Health Project? We're in a standstill at this particular point. So what's going on? And he didn't really give any kind of firm answer, kind of just, wait and see kind of a thing. But I would definitely use my platform to go and to advocate with our delegation and to make sure that we get that funding reinstated for both of those projects and anything else that comes along with that. I also talked with, like I said, the chairman of the Black and Latino Caucus, State Representative Russell Holmes, about this particular issue, and in my meetings with the staff of the Lieutenant Governor. That's been kind of the first thing I lead in with. Those are the things that are very important to the people here in Brockton, and they need to know how important it is for us, and that it is a cornerstone and it is a crown jewel in building up our economy in other ways. So I'm already doing that.
Okay, same question for Shirley. What would you do specifically if elected to ensure a downtown college campus and a health sciences building for Massasoit?
Well, thank you. This is another subject that I'm really passionate about is the Downtown College Collaborative. I know it's put together, you mentioned also with the Massasoit Health Center building. Even though they're put together, I feel they're two different things. The Downtown College Collaborative is, we have to get that on our main street, in our downtown. It's our whole downtown development, the development of the downtown relies on this college collaborative. The College Collaborative will bring in a new foot traffic to the downtown. It will help develop new business. It will bring in, there's many businesses that are on hold right now waiting to see what's happening with this College Collaborative. So to answer the question, the first thing I would do is actually sit down, have a meeting with our governor, and if I need to bring in sit down with our other state reps, the other two state reps that represent Brockton and our senator, and go in and talk to our governor and tell him how important it is to the redevelopment of our downtown. Even though this is education, it's a college, it's more about redeveloping our main street. So he needs to realize how important it is to us, and I would stress that, and I feel like there's nothing I'm not going to do to not make this successful. It has to happen. I can't stress that enough. It has to happen. The science building at Massasoit, that's part of Massasoit. It was a little different of an agreement with the purchase of the land. I served on the real estate committee when the buildings were sold to the state, when the downtown building was sold to the state, whereas Massasoit, it was more of the purchase of the land. So they were a little different for me. So I'm mainly focusing on the Downtown College Collaborative to help revitalize our downtown.
Jerry.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to push for the college collaborative. The governor hasn't been as receptive as he should have. Just a quote the other day, I was reading, spending has outpaced our growth. Operating within our means will require difficult but responsible decisions. That doesn't seem too positive for the collaborative as far as that goes. But I would definitely work with all legislators to try to move this forward, and I would even push, for the Allied Health Center and Massasoit to be moved downtown Brockton and that location there, so that as long as we have something, that's what we need for the downtown. That's what I'd do.
Okay. You look like you want to follow up on that question. Is that?
Well, my question would be, I believe that the Allied Health Building is a separate bonding issue that Governor Deval Patrick did for about $27 million back a number of years ago. Can those two be separated?
As far as my understanding from the president of the college, he would like to have the same situation, moved down there.
Because I believe the state bought, not only did they buy 121 Main Street, but they also bought that land of Christo's. DCAM purchased that, so the state already owns those two. Those are off the tax rolls for the city right now.
Right.
Correct.
So
So that's,
I'm looking at Shana and Shirley. You both have something to add. Shirley, go.
Well, they're two totally different things.
Projects,
The,
right.
totally different projects. I mean, we sold the building on Main Street to the state for nothing.
$1.
For $1. So, whereas the lot of land where the old Christos used to be, they purchased that for a lot more money.
Like
So
1.5
they
billion or
can
something
pretty
like
much
that,
put
yeah.
whatever they'd like there. It's two totally different projects. We need them both, but if you ask me which one I'd be advocating for, if I'm successful as state rep, it would be the College Collaborative because so much relies on it.
Shana, do you want to say one more thing?
Just, in my communication with several representatives from the college, it's all wrapped up. They might be two separate projects, and the deals were different, and all these arrangements and everything were different, but they're wrapped up together. It's all about education advancement. So I would definitely, because it's on hold as well, and they don't know what's going on. From the last time I communicated with some of the representatives of the college, that they're kind of asking like, hey, did you hear anything? Did anybody say anything? Is the mayor saying anything? And everybody's just in limbo. So however it goes, I would definitely be at the forefront of that, advocating for both of those projects because they're both good for Brockton.
Kevin, next question.
During the inauguration earlier this month, the mayor indicated that there's going to be some financial issues for the fiscal 2017 budget. As a freshman legislator, part of the delegation, what do you guys feel you can do, or what do you feel you can do as a part of that delegation to gain additional local aid or funding to offset any deficits the city's going to see for their upcoming fiscal year budget?
Goes to Jerry first.
funding, I would look at that, the $8 million that we pay in bus services. That could possibly come back $1 million for Brockton as far as the bus students. That's probably one thing I would look at. There'd be other funding grants that we could look at, and I would speak to the staff at the Ways and Means, see if there's anything that we could look at, even the mayor's office, to see what they would advocate for.
Okay, next would be Shana.
Yeah, by the time this election is decided and the next state representative is sworn in, the budget will already be virtually half done. So I think it's about working with the city and trying to make sure that we live within our budget at this particular point, and then continue to advocate and to work to look for different funding sources. There are some grant funding availability out there that we need to definitely tap into, but I think that's where the advantage is in developing these new resources, to find out exactly what is available to the city of Brockton and what we can glean from the work of some of the other legislators. There are opportunities and resources that we've never tapped into, that we've been flying under the radar about. Because like I said, sometimes we work in a vacuum. So those are the things that I would definitely tap into, using the relationships and asking, listen, how can we put this? And working on development strategies, proposals, anything that I would need to do to make sure that we get considered for the next time.
But I'm kind of sure that the House budget doesn't come out until late March, and I believe that whoever is successful, if we're talking about March 1st, you probably could be sworn in immediately. You don't think that should have any impact at all?
Well, there wouldn't be any way to introduce anything and this is in my meetings with some of the legislators on how things kind of work in the timing. The special election timing, kind of with getting actually some teeth and getting some things done, it's a weird kind of seesaw situation. So that would be something that I would definitely work with my legislative friends on and figure out how to get those things done. But yeah, that's...
Okay, Shirley?
Thank you. The first thing that I would do is sit down with the other two state reps, State Rep Cronin and Dubois, and obviously they would have seen the budget, sit down with them and make sure that we ask if I could sit with them, ask questions, make sure that Brockton's voice is heard and that we can't lose any funding, and see where we can bring in more funding. So that's what I would do. That would be the first thing I would do, is sit down with them and see where we can keep Brockton and keep funding coming into Brockton.
Okay. My question coming up is, this is a Democratic primary. All three of you are good Democrats. I've known you all differently for years on the Democratic City Committee. How can a freshman Democratic state representative work effectively across the aisle with the Republicans in the state, and specifically the governor who lost Brockton. I personally feel, in my opinion, that part of the Massasoit Downtown College Collaborative has maybe a little bit to do with the last election. So my question is, what would you do specifically to cross the aisle as a good Democrat, stay true to the party, and get things for Brockton? So I'm going to start with Shirley.
Thank you. I'm a proud Democrat, always have been. But I also, when I like to believe that I work across party lines, and it's more about the individual, and I would hope that our governor would feel, the same way. So I'm not going to let that be what keeps me from going knocking at his door and seeing how we can make things work better for Brockton. I really believe, I believe in Brockton, I believe in the state of Massachusetts, and I believe in our governor. He's our governor right now. He's not just the Republican governor or the Democratic governor, he's our governor. So I would like to hope that he would work with, whether it's a freshman state rep or whoever it may be, that he would sit down and at least listen to what we have to say.
Okay, thank you. Next, Jerry.
Just the governor's first appointee for secretary was Jay Ash. He was from Chelsea. He's the Housing Economic Development Secretary. And he was up at the Chamber of Commerce up on Martin Institute a couple weeks ago, and he and I go way back. And he says that this governor is working, with both Democrats and Republicans. He's the real, pun the phrase, the real deal, which, anyway, we could definitely walk, put our hands across and shake hands, and, I would have that working relationship with Mr. Ash.
Okay, thank you. Shana?
Well, in my profession now as immigration specialist with Congressman Lynch, I work now with some of the Republican delegation. I work with Angela D'Amelia. I work with a lot of the other state representatives that are Republicans in the area because they're in the 8th Congressional District. So I already have those relationships with a lot of them. So working with them in a different capacity or, actually as a state legislator with them, it won't be difficult at all. I've actually spoken with a few of them, and they're excited to have me come and to work with them and to work together. So I'm already setting, I guess, the blueprint for that to happen.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
Funding for schools is still a problem. In your opinion, what needs to be done by the city's legislative delegation to improve the amount of Chapter 70 money that the city gets, or start the conversation about the funding formula?
And that goes first to Shana.
Yeah, I support the school 100% in their pursuit of the lawsuit and to get that reinstated. If that's the way that the school department wants to go and the newly elected members of the school committee, I know that they're probably getting themselves acclimated into that and kind of figuring out where they're going to go with that. But I support that 100%. Our kids need to get exactly what they need in order to be considered in a global market and to be competitive in this global market. And the Brockton public school system, they've come so far to be knocked back just because of money. And what I would also do as a legislator, I would then have a different relationship with my boss, Congressman Lynch, and work with him shoulder to shoulder and working on seeing if we can reinstate some more of the federal funding earmarks and grants for education, specifically for education. So those are the things that I would definitely tap into, because I know we lost $10 to $12 million in some of the grants that we had, the Race to the Top funding, all of these things that we had, and we were doing such great work with and making these achievement goals and reaching them. And to have that all be for naught, it's really it's a lesson in futility, and I would definitely not have that and work my hardest with our superintendent, with the teachers, with the school committee, and again, working to get that funding.
Thank you. Shirley?
Thank you. We can't lose any more money to our public schools. They're so important to us. They're the core of our, they're our largest part of our budget. So they're very important to us. We cannot lose any more funding coming into them. So I would definitely support in re-looking at the formula. There's obviously, we all agree that there's a problem with the actual formula, and I would also support the lawsuit that if the school department, the school committee wanted to go ahead with this lawsuit that we're already in support of it. So I would continue with that and just really keep lines of communication open between us, the same way that they are with right now as a city councilor. I would continue to keep these lines of communication open as a state representative, meeting regularly with our school committee, with the superintendent, as well as my colleagues on the city council. This is something that affects all of us, so it's really about working together. So I would continue what I have started and just continue to do that at the state level.
Jerry?
Thanks, Mark. There's a move afoot with the other communities, affluent communities, to take money away from, cities like Brockton. So I would support the Hancock case or whatever it was, the Webby case when it first started. The school department should start doing that, because I know they're coming after us in Brockton, and we don't want to lose any money for these wonderful the teachers. Just today, they got yesterday from the State Ed Commission, they gave them a 95% approval as far as their teaching goes. I mean, we need to take our hats off to the teachers in Brockton. So we need to support them too, and back up what we say.
Kevin has a follow-up for all three of you on this.
My follow-up in regards to the ed reform and the lawsuit. My understanding is that this could be a difficult task for the city to pursue, because there was a point in time during the Carpenter administration that the city did not tax up to the levy limit. What's your understanding of that, and what's your thought as to another way if the lawsuit is not something that's feasible?
We'll start with Shana again.
So I think I just need you to be just a little more clear. How are you connecting the levy to the the lawsuit?
According to Jay Condon, the CFO of the city, is that the one thing that could be a problem for the lawsuit is if the city doesn't tax up to the levy limit, it could be an issue because the city is not doing all that it can as far as with its tax
Okay,
money.
that's where you're going.
See what I'm
Okay, I
saying?
thought you meant to pay for the
Right,
lawyers or the
right.
fees.
If you're not taxing up to the levy limit, you can't expect the state to be putting in
Right.
when you're not at least going to your citizens for its share of the
Right.
2.5 Prop 2.5
Right,
tax proposal.
And the CFO, every time he comes in, and especially during the budget time, these last two times, he came in kind of with that warning that, we will have
correct.
some other kind of consequence that will befall us
Right.
if we do not take advantage of this, that we're leaving the $3 million, $3.5 million
On the
or so on the
table, right.
table every time he comes in. And, of course, we're working with the administrative offices and trying to figure those things out, and kind of, it's his decision. He brings us the budget. We just, can cut or approve. So I know that, well, I have confidence, let me say, I have confidence in our superintendent in working with the CFO and making sure that that balances out. And if that is the way that we can go without having further negative consequences, or we can predict whatever kind of consequences will come from that, then I still stand with them. I stand with Kathy Smith and her staff and her judgment on this, and whatever she decides to do, I'll stand with her.
Same question. Do you need me to explain it? You
No,
got it? Okay.
I'm good. I'm not an attorney, but I know that there were existing lawsuits. So this is beyond just the tax levy. I understand the whole issue with the tax levy, but there were two cases in the past. I believe Webby and McDuffie were some
Correct.
of the names.
Yep.
That they're actually, some of them are school teachers right now, and something happened along the way that we did not get the funding. It did not continue the way it was ruled with the old lawsuits. So I think it's something that we would have to look into more. It's not just on the tax levy. So I would, once again, put all my faith with our school, our superintendent and the school committee, in hopes that the attorneys do the best to represent the school system. So I don't think it's just has to do with the taxes. And
I believe that it would be a plaintiff. I don't think it would be the school system. I believe it would be a plaintiff of whether it be a
Correct.
student or what have you. if I'm
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, and Jerry?
Same thing. I would talk to Mr. Condon and see if that's really the case as far as the tax. if that's the case. And I would speak with Kathy Saroy, Kathy Smith, the superintendent, and see what avenue she wants to go. And I have full faith in her, and even charter schools. I spoke out against charter schools. She was came to me about that, and I was went to her. Thank you.
Okay, I got my cue. There's about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure there's time at the end for closing statements, but we tried this at the other debate, and we want to try it again, to allow the candidates to ask each other a question. So I'm going to use the original order from the opening to do that, and I'm wondering if Shana has a question for either candidate or for both candidates.
Yeah. Actually, Mr. Cassidy, I've listened to you speak, and your history in the State House is very stellar. But what was the last piece of legislation that you either proposed or voted on or had any significant influence on with regard to outcome to the city of Brockton?
Proposed or no? I worked for State Senator Tom Kennedy. We were in special meetings, conference committees, and I was with him 90% of the time on these hearings. So listening is what we try to do.
And
Had a follow-up?
do you?
No, I thought you were.
Do I? Oh, no. I was just curious, just to get a little bit more information about your tenure, almost 30 years of tenure at the State House, what exactly you did. That's it for now. Do I have time later or no?
You can ask Shirley a question too if you want.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to go to Shirley to see if she has a question for either Shana or Jerry or both.
Okay. Actually, it could be for both of them. I know that both of the other candidates spoke about, their connections or the people, the relations that they have at the State House. I'm just wondering why hasn't anything flourished from these relationships before this election?
I'll let Shana answer first.
Okay. That's actually a really good question, and I asked them that when we would meet and when they would ask me to come and meet with them. Brockton wasn't on their radar. Until this race, a lot of the agencies and a lot of the organizations that have reached out to me, that have found me to want to partner and to want to be in some kind of network with Brockton, they didn't know what we had going on here. We were under the radar, and I said it before, we've been operating kind of in a vacuum, trying to fix our own problems internally. This is our opportunity to reach out to different agencies, organizations that have never, they weren't thinking about Brockton at the time. So this has opened them up to all the resources and the good things that we have to offer that we can also contribute back to some of their communities. So, and a lot of these relationships are, they're new relationships, the state legislators that I've never even met before that have reached out to me. They've been kind of watching my candidacy. They've watched my successful term on the council and things that I have done to advocate for the city, and they appreciate that and they respect that, and they want to move forward, and they want to move forward with me as their colleague. So that's how that's pretty much opened up.
Sure. Can I answer? Well, I think that's great, but I just, in a way, it's disappointing that they hadn't reached out to our previous legislators, or that part bothers me. So, not for you, just that nobody's reached out to do some of these programs or to work on them with them.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know, like I said, a lot of people don't know what we have here to offer.
We have a lot.
We have a lot that we don't leverage well. So when I go out, and especially now when I go out and I'm under that dome and I walk into that chamber, I'm advocating appropriately for Brockton, and clearly because now we have people they're clamoring at the door to come and do job fairs, to tap into our ready foundation, our workforce, to give job skills, to work with BayWib, to come and to do certain things here in the city to make our city grow. And they have all kinds of funding and opportunities that we can definitely take advantage of, and they're just ready to do it.
We do have a lot of great programs, so I do have to stress that. I don't know who's contacting you, but Brockton always had them, so maybe the question
Same question to Jerry?
I'm sorry, what was it?
In your statements, you've stated that the many years that you served up at the State House. So why did it take so long to for anything to come to fruition to first of all, maybe in your case, to run for state rep, or what, to get anything, accomplished?
Just like I was saying, over the last 28 years, I've had the senior center. That was from funding from the State Senator Kennedy. I was in a conference committee with the courthouse. We've had numerous funding. It's an ongoing event, and with my professional relationships, I really do believe that I will be an asset to the city.
Okay, I'm going to give Jerry the last question for either one or both, and it's going to have to be asked quickly and answered quickly because we get the 5-minute queue, and I want to leave
All right,
room
what's your
for
favorite
opening
restaurant?
statements. Jerry,
We already
go ahead.
got that one.
Go ahead, Jerry.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Go ahead, you can go
I
first.
don't.
Go, Shirley.
Okay, I already got that. We have many great ones in Brockton, but I stated last time my favorite was JJ's because it's a little place, it's homegrown, and it's a small business.
All of them.
Okay. Let's go, we have about 5, or about 4 maybe. Let's go to closing statements at this point. We did the drawing at the beginning, and the first closing statement is to Shirley Azak. Go for a minute, Shirley.
Thank you. I'm Shirley Azak. I'm running to represent you at the State House. I will represent you the same way I've represented you on the City Council. I've been accessible, transparent, and I do what's in your best interest. So I'm asking for your vote on February 2nd. Please vote Shirley Azak. I'm going to give you my information. Please contact me when I say I'm accessible. My information is out there. It's very public. So please contact me if you'd like via phone, 508-840-7957. Or if you'd like to email me, my email address is Shirley, it's my name, shirleyazak.com. And you can also find me on the Facebook, which is Shirley Azak for State Representative. And I also have a website with information on there. So it's that's shirleyazak.com. Please contact me. I look forward to representing you. This is about us. It's about the community. It's about Brockton, and it's bringing it to the State House. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Shayna.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. As always, this is maybe my 3rd or 4th debate or forum, candidate forum with you, and I really do respect your professionalism and your in-depth questions. Thank you, and thank you again to the staff here for hosting us and having us here. Shayna Barnes is your Brockton City Councilor at large, one of the 4 Brockton City Councilors at large. I have served with distinction. I have served with grace. I have served with your confidence in me, bringing your voice to the chamber. I've done that for 2 years. I plan to do it for the next 2 years. I plan to also go to the State House and work collaboratively with with our current delegation and all of the legislators in the State House as representatives and in the Senate. I have the endorsements of legislators now that are eager to work with me to get some programs back to Brockton, to get the resources that we've been lacking for so long. I have the endorsement of Congressman Lynch, Ayanna Pressley, Russell Holmes, Jay Stewart, and recently Christine Canavan, and Linda Dorsina-Forey. All of these people are ready to work with me as your new state representative. So vote Shayna Barnes, February 2nd, state representative. Thank you.
And Jerry Cassidy.
I was born here in this district. I've never moved out of the district. I will my next move will probably be over to Calvary Cemetery. That's just outside the district. But I pledge my full effort, energy, and enthusiasm to the citizens of Brockton. I'll be a powerful asset to the city of Brockton. On February 2nd, please vote Jerry Cassidy, and I look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you to Kevin Tachi for being my partner here, and for all 3 candidates. It takes a lot to run for office. I give you all credit, especially in the dead of winter, for running for this office. You're watching Brockton Community Access. We will be covering the election on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, and let's hope that we have good weather. But let's remember one thing. If you don't vote, don't complain. Get out there, be active, support one of these fine candidates, and let's move Brockton forward in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you to my staff and the crew and the candidates, and we will bid you farewell until election night. Thank you.